It's time for the shop report with Barbershop Jay.
What in the world? Hold on here. Oh, did you see that? We are live and the intro just started going 100 miles a minute. See, this is what I'm talking about. About these doggone, we can ready to play the intro again. Okay, we already see how this show is about to go. We apologize to our 8 followers out there. Hold on.
It's time for the shop report with Barbershop Jay.
What up, sports fans? Welcome to Shop Report. I'm Barbershop Jay. I'll be your host for the day. Here's what's happening. Take 2. All righty. Oh, boy, this is unbelievable. As always, we want to remind you that the shop, of course, is being brought to you by none other than the fine folks over at Rocket Digital Media. It's the one-stop shop for all your digital marketing needs. You can look them up on Facebook at RDM Detroit, or you can slide on over to the website. It's rocketdigital.net. That's ROCKIT digital.net. And make sure when you're there, while you're there, you tell them the DSJ sent you. And joining me on the program today is none other than my cat from the NYC, a.k.a. Sheboygan, Wisconsin. Shoot the J, baby. The J. Brother Rich, what's happening?
I just want to be as happy as Double J is right now.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Well, that's because he was, I don't know, sipping on something, sipping on some.
Oh, that's what it is.
Know in the background. I couldn't tell you. Oh, and on the other side of the ledger, we got my man from up north, Joey James, a.k.a. Double J. Yes, indeed. He telling people what you say.
Look, I was ready for, DJ K. Slay to drop a bomb on it.
Oh,
I guess we'll settle for that, huh?
On the button. Okay, I'm just saying. I thought y'all beat me to the buttons, baby. I'm trying to beat me to the buttons here. Yes. No, not the buttons, not the buttons. Okay, yeah. Man, we got a nice little lineup for y'all today. But before we get into any of the entrees, I'm gonna hit y'all with a few appetizers right quick. First up, I want to shout out the Milwaukee Bucks for winning the national championship. Too bad my boy Carmelo wasn't on the team. My fault. I digress. I'm sorry. I'm just a Melo fan. Yeah, the Bucks did it, as most people like to say, saying here, that the Bucks did it the right way, whatever that is supposed to mean nowadays. Sports is just all over the place, okay? It's a conundrum. It's an enigma. It's ambiguous. I don't know what to call it now, but this is why we're here to maybe straighten some things out. But again, shout out to the Milwaukee Bucks once again for doing it the right way. And then the other appetizer we have on, or should I say other item up for bid, Texas and Oklahoma, this comes from the NCAA, of course. Texas and Oklahoma is making a push to be included in the SEC. Now, before we get to some of our other stuff, I just want you all to weigh in on this right quick, please, right quick. But I'm asking this question in regards to, is this a byproduct of the college football playoff expansion, Double J?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Do tell.
Well, simply,
we should have Brother Rich back here in a minute, you all. But go ahead, Double J.
Look, this isn't the first time we experienced this. Prior to, once the visualization and conception of the college football playoff became a reality, or was becoming a reality, it became very evident that there were certain conferences that were favored in many respects. We've seen a lot of inconsistencies despite the unbiased panel, if you will. Mm-hmm. And so if you recall, this is what when Texas A&M jumped ship to the SEC, when Missouri left, this is when all this stuff was going to go down back then. Texas was going to go with them. Oklahoma potentially was as well. You were basically going to see a breakdown of ultimately about 3, I would say a true Power 5 in that respect, with many conferences gaining members and being substantially larger at that point. In the same breath, Iowa State and Kansas are rumored to be heading to the Big Ten at that point. And again, from a college hoop standpoint, and I guess Iowa State presently in a college football standpoint would be of value to the conference. But generally speaking, that's about kind of where it lives and dies. There's been, again, it would make a lot of sense. You've heard other team or other universities like Cincinnati and West Virginia, and some of that other group. But again, ultimately, what you end up coming down with is about 3 or 4 total conferences with just enormous amounts of teams. It sounds like we've almost been here before when we flirted with the concept of a super league. Are we destined for that?
Absolutely. It's a shakeup. I mean, the sports world is not what it once was. It is all over the place now. So I'm not surprised.
But here's where I'm going with that, because at some point, you're going to have you, regardless of how this Pangea ends up breaking apart here or coming together for that matter.
Nice.
The reality of it is there's going to be those same 5-10 names that are going to kind of say, we don't want to carry the dead weight in the conference. Now that you're facing outside pressure from the G League internationally, the overtime league, and again, just from a basketball standpoint, as well as other sports as well, it certainly gives the idea that there's a lot of money. We know money is always the motivation for these folks.
Well, absolutely.
$17 billion industry annually.
Of course.
So if they can get their hands on some more, they're going to be more than willing to do so. And naturally, if you can see your Ohio State play Alabama and the U and USC and Notre Dame annually.
Did you just say the U? Did you just say that? Speaking of which, I'm so glad you mentioned it and not me. Then I'll have to hear this Jerry Jones talk. The U, presumably, has been some talk about the U joining the Big Ten. It's time for some get back on the crap pies, mud pies of Ohio fake state. Okay, that flag came 10 days late. Everybody was already on their way to their cars in the parking lot. And of course, the BS, what is it called? Oh, yeah, got you. Anyway, my bad. Brother Rich, yeah, this whole Oklahoma, Texas going to the SEC, is that a byproduct of the college football playoff expansion?
Without a doubt. Money rules all. But here's the other thing that's a byproduct of. The fact that the players are now empowered to make different choices. Because now these schools are competing with each other in a different way. Now,
that's a good point.
If I'm an individual athlete, I have a different incentive, whereby once I wanted to go to Michigan State, I wanted to go to the Ohio State. But now, guess what? If I get the right package deal and advertising dollars, I'll go play with Deion down in Jackson.
In Jackson State.
I would go there because Deion's a big name. I can get recognized. He's pushing that. And if I get the right deal, the right marketing deal, the right branding deal, they'll put the dollars behind me to market me to the NFL, to market me to the next level, to teams at the next level. So the game is shifting a little bit. So you see the bigger powers consolidating for exactly that purpose, to consolidate their power, to make themselves more attractive, to get more booster dollars behind them, to get more funding, to ultimately be able to afford to present themselves as the only option. Because it's a different, the pie is going to be sliced up differently now. I don't have to go to your institution anymore. You are not the only game in town anymore.
Yeah, good.
I gotta say this too.
Last thought, Double J, before we go ahead.
Really quick here. A lot of people would suggest that in the past, it's not in the best interest of the brands themselves, the Nikes, the Reeboks, etc., to put dollars into a smaller university or program. I'm going to call BS on that now. It's absolutely in their best interest because unlike before, this is Sim City. The Wild Wild West. You can make Bowling Green be Ohio State if you wanted to. And if we look at billionaires, there is no reason at this point in the game. It's the only difference is somebody caring enough. And that's what's going to be very interesting if you start seeing a superpower. We've already seen it with Rutgers. And remember, some of these quote unquote corrupt coaches of the past may actually be the best salesmen moving forward at new.
That's a really good point.
So it'll be very interesting to see how this shakes out because the old way of doing things, that sales pitch doesn't work anymore.
Good stuff, man. You all were on point today. Yeah, absolutely. But guess what? Just for
finish him, you lose.
Absolutely. Yes, indubitably. I just did.
Man
that.
got more buttons. That's a shame.
I do. Absolutely. Oh, I'm not done. Y'all just wait till my schedule pan out where I can really play around with my buttons game.
No more time off for him.
Okay, yeah, got it. Oh, y'all know what time it is. Yes, can you hear the music? All right, let's get into some of our Olympic talk. This is one of our entrees, by the way. Excuse me, you see my screen shaking right there. I'm just animated. This is jubilation today. The first Olympic topic I want to discuss is I labeled this the Paralympic rejection. I'm sure you all have seen the story by now. Becca Myers is a 6-time Paralympic medalist with 3 golds from the 2016 Rio Games. She was expected to compete for up to 4 medals in this year's games in Tokyo. But she's now not going, or she backed out, or said she won't told USOPC committee or whatever they call that there. Well, let me hold on. Let me find my. Oh, I'm sorry. The USOPC. I said that right. The United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee. Let me give myself the button for that.
Wow.
Yeah. A lot of run-on sentences right there. But anyway, she's not going now because she was told that she couldn't bring her mother or her PCA, her personal care assistant. Brother Rich, what the go ahead, just tell me. Well, because
let's keep it real. Let's keep it real here. The Olympic Committee is no different than the NCAA.
Okay, got you.
They're no different than old committees run by old white men with outdated policies that they just make up along the way to have control over the lives of people, none of whom they could have ever competed with in their whole natural lives. But this is their authority over people's lives. And unfortunately, sometimes when we get authority over people's lives, we like to enjoy it a little too much.
Yeah, we get a little beside ourselves.
Yeah, they just got beside themselves. Man, let's keep it real. That's what it is.
Yeah. And I say that, I'm mentioning this, we're discussing this, because Becca is a deaf, blind swimmer. How do you do that? Because in any other capacity, we are all for, as we should be, anybody with a disability. Now, I'm not even saying she's disabled.
Except for people who only are able to exercise authority once every 4 years, Jay. We only know these people who care about them once every 4 years.
Got you. Because and let me reword that. Let me say it this way. Were she a lady on the street or whatnot, our hearts would, they still do, their hearts would go out to her. We were trying to find a way to help her. You see what I mean? So in other words, it's like the hypocrisy once again, as you mentioned. Yeah, thank you, Double J. I couldn't find the words there, but our thoughts and prayers in any other case would be the case. But now in this case, it's like, no, I'm telling you, I know we do a show here, but the stuff that I'm seeing and hearing coming from the sports world entities or powers that be, it's disgusting. It really is disgusting, man. I'm telling you, I think we should just go ahead and start talking about play school and big wheels and green machines and I don't know, Hasbro or something.
And buddies. Yeah, is that where we were taking us?
Oh yeah. Oh, do you want that button? You don't want that button. But and what I also found interesting about this, the USOPC told her father, Mark Myers, not Mike, cut it out, that organizers and the Japanese government prohibited her from bringing a PCA because of COVID restrictions. Really? Seriously? So that's the fallback now. COVID is responsible for everything now. I mean, don't get it twisted. We know that COVID is real. Okay, let's say that first. But
it's real.
Seriously, come on now. Come on. Then why are we having the games at all then?
Facts.
Okay, yeah, that's what I say. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, don't mind me. And our next item up for bid. Team USA, the Hoopsters, okay, Brother Rich's boys, Kevin Durant, Kevin Johnson, Charles Barkley, Mark Eaton, you know what I'm saying? Michael Olowokandi, Olden Polynice, you know what I'm saying? Brother Rich's boys, you know what I'm saying? They getting their backsides handed to them here. They lost their first Olympic game. Now, here's what's crazy. When Team USA lost the 2 exhibition games, all the chatter was, ain't nothing but an exhibition game, and all that. Now that they done lost the first actual game competition to France, no less. Oh, and don't poo-poo on France, but now all the talk is, Greg Popovich's coaching style is outdated. But who was the coach of the U.S. team before Kobe? May he rest. Who was the coach of the U.S. team before Kobe decided to get on there and show them guys? All of these professional guys that prior to Kobe going on there, they was all household names and goats and lambs and anyway, I digress.
Beers.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? So, they lost their first game to France, of course, since 2004, by the way. It's the first Olympic competition game they lost. Since then, 83-76 to France. But Double J, I mean, give me your thoughts, man. Before I read some of the other stuff here, I just wanted to hear what you got to say about the Team USA taking an L.
Well, it's not a surprise, especially coming from this program where we've been shooting out more
ad nauseum,
flares and reaching out on ham radios and braille devices, everything that you can for anyone that would be willing to listen.
Two soup cans with the string in the middle. Oh, okay, I got smoke signals. Okay, bat phone. Oh, okay, I got you. Go ahead.
The reality of it is, even if it is just one game, it's still it counted. Okay, you're talking about a team that in its history had lost 5 times prior. Any L with my name next to it would be a problem with when you're coming with that type of pedigree prior.
It'd have been a problem for Kobe too.
Certainly.
May he rest. That's why he went over there. He said, look, let me go over here and get this straight, because I don't like I don't like what I'm seeing.
And I'm going to tell you something specifically about that point, because during that particular Olympics, it was not a cakewalk. There was certain points and times during particular games where I can remember Kobe put the team on his shoulders, but put the whole country for that matter on his shoulders. Hold
that thought. If I'm not mistaken, didn't Carmelo say something in the way of Kobe's presence there at the time? Brother Rich, I'll let you say that part, but hold on. Go ahead, finish, Double J. I'm just saying.
So ultimately, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to get him back, and this could be a new norm for us in terms of a reality check, which really, as we've stated, is a problem, a weed that would have to be cut, naturally removed all the way down at its root, which is unfortunately very, very deep. Yeah. And so this is a sign of things to come. It's not a surprise that the rest of the world is catching up. It's been on display for years now. Again, it's that saying of talent versus hustle. And additionally, more importantly, if I'm the NBA, this is your red flag too. Yeah, this is absolutely your red flag too, because despite where your ratings are and where you believe your superstars are and who they are, better yet, forget where they hail from, the way that you operate your league to call it the best in the world has to imply, it has to translate at the world stage.
Exactly. Hello.
We're going backwards. And that league specifically has a lot to do with it. This is not a simply you can look at Joey Crawford and get a call.
Oh yeah, the FIBA refs, they ain't playing. They don't care. They don't care about America's game.
And that's the reality of it. If you've ever ran across someone that is maybe not a genre of music that you listen to and you see people swarm them. And you're like, well, who's that? That is kind of how the FIBA refs look at these players. They're not impressed with what you've done, with who you are, with where you play.
They don't care about who the GOAT is.
They are there to call the games.
Exactly. And they let them play.
Not only that, exactly, which is when we've heard superstars like who's coming over now, which is Devin Booker, say, I don't want to be double teamed in certain things that when we think of the best that would certainly never shy away from those exact type of examples and circumstances. That is deeply concerning because now when you can play with a little bit more contact than you're used to, it feels like, you went from the courts to the playground and you got pushed around a little bit with that example, even in the past that you've used, Barbershop, with where you took your kids. So
I'm writing something down here, but go ahead. Yeah.
Unfortunately, this might be that very tough and bitter pill for our Olympic basketball team.
Yeah, Brother Rich. But
and
before
mind
you go, let me just say this right quick. Basketball, and I had to write this down. Basketball may not be football in terms of physicality, but what's missing, sometimes you got to get touched up, man. You understand what I'm saying? And that's what the FIBA refs is letting them do, man. You're getting touched up right quick, man. We're not calling that flop management over here. You can take that back over there. Take that back across the pond. We get down over here, baby. We on the world stage for real. This ain't no game. You can't just call yourself, put a banner in your arena and call it a world champion when you only played all the people live on your block. Play everybody in the neighborhood. You understand what I'm saying? Then you can call yourself. But yeah, all right. Well, what would you say, Brother Rich? Go ahead.
Well, I'll point out that, remember, go back and look at the NBA Finals. Devin Booker and the Phoenix Suns actually lost the NBA Finals on Devin Booker being double teamed and turning the ball over when Drew Holiday stripped him. The very point that he refused to work on in offseason. And I love Devin Booker's game as a Kobe disciple, but the very problem he refused to work on in offseason is what cost his team the championship in the end. Not understanding how to work away from a double team. You are a professional NBA player. Yes.
Hold that thought. Are you trying not to get none of the buttons for the rest of the week? Is that what you're trying to do? Because you spitting fire. Y'all spitting fire today. You mean I got to go back and change all my buttons?
I'm trying.
Absolutely not. Are you serious?
I'm trying.
You trying not to get the buttons? I mean, what's going on here? That was a great point, man. I could have said that better myself.
And this is the thing here. So we're talking now. This is the caliber of player, with the exception, perhaps, but I love him, but he's very sensitive on the court in his disposition and his attitude. We didn't really send the dogs over there. We sent the finesse hoopers over there.
Yes.
But we didn't send dogs over there. And there's nobody there that got that kind of metal that understand on the world stage. You got to take it. And if you saw I saw the highlights of today's game, the only person who really kept him in the game was the person who surprisingly had the most dog in him today was Drew Holiday, who was really battling for what it's worth. Yes, absolute fact. He comes with the championship medal, and he was kind of, the little highlights showed you that's where he was the one that was kind of hooping towards the end. But the reality is, as Double J said it to us earlier, the FIBA refs don't care who you are. They don't care. They don't want your autograph. They here to ref the game, and they're not impressed that you came from America and you got $300 million to play basketball, because they can't figure out why you got $300 million, because these guys are making you look and they're making you look like you just play basketball. And let's be honest,
let me say this.
The world is not catching up. They've caught up.
Good point. That's a good point too. Hold on, Double J. You mentioned Drew Holiday. Let's go back to that finals right quick.
Yes.
The difference in why the tide turned. And again, no disrespect to Chris Paul or D Book and all of that. I'm glad to see two different participants in a finals. And it was somewhat competitive for a minute there. I'm glad for that. But the difference was Drew Holiday did what we constantly talk about not seeing, even though all the NBA players are being lauded. All he did was pick Chris Paul up 94 feet.
Fact.
He put
Fact.
extra ball. He extended his ball pressure. But is so absent in today's game and overlooked. We get caught up on the wow and the pageantry of whatever it is. But then when a team we rooting for loses, we can't figure out why. Because I'm telling you all, when you all are watching the game, no offense to the few listeners and viewers out there, I'm telling you, what you all are looking for, I'm looking for something totally different. I'm looking for the nuts and bolts, okay? Not the cream on the top. You know what I'm trying to tell you? Who can dunk and who can reverse and all of that. Now, I'm looking at your footwork. I'm looking at situations. Basketball is always and always will be about situations, regardless of the era and what you do in those situations. This is why when my man Kobe went over there and I seen clips of him doing this to dudes, because he's telling them, hey man, in this situation, why you shooting 45 jump shots if we trying to win? You get what I'm trying to tell you? That's
Durant.
why. Thank you. And there's no disrespect to these guys. We get it. The game has changed. Whoop-dee-doo. I get it. But has it changed for the better is my question. And no, it has not. What were you going to say, Double J?
Well, a few points on that. Obviously, as somebody that has season tickets that pays to watch that same product that I'm heavily criticizing right now, it's intentionally for the better because, again, that's embarrassing. And, yeah, I'm aware of who Luwawu is and who Rudy Gobert is and Evan Fournier and you know what I mean? Yeah, I get it. We know who they are. But in the 2K rating, not a darn one is over 80. So
yeah, exactly.
I don't want to hear that, we're in a dogfight against them. What is the difficulty set on astronomically hard? What we got an arm behind our back? What?
Exactly.
That's not acceptable to me. Additionally, with that being said, every single one of them has something to prove.
Absolutely.
And you look at a team like Australia.
I think there's a reason why the king didn't go. Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, got a bent crown.
Why I'm pointing that out is because that road is not going to get any easier. All it did is for sharks, that's blood in the water. You pointed out that Kobe was a dog, and we knew that. And he proved that every time you wanted to say that he was a small one. He would show you that he wasn't. And
yeah, absolutely.
The unfortunate side is based on that, my what I've emphasized is the root of the problem. I'm afraid that we're raising thoroughbreds and that wouldn't make it a day in the wild anymore.
Well, I told you what my son said to me. This was only a couple of years ago, and he's 19 now, and he played for his middle school team and rec leagues and so on and so forth. I said, man, why y'all don't play defense? I'm watching the game. He said, Dad. He said, man, because these guys now, because they videotaping everything, if a guy get crossed up now, he get in. I said, man. I'm so glad I'm your father. I ain't saying I'm the best and all that, but I'm so glad because guess what? We going to go out here and make it a point. We going to play defense, baby.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If you cross me, you ain't going to cross nobody else. You know what I'm saying? So guys are being, afraid to do things because, of social media and so on. So I said, that's all the more reason to want to do it more.
Here's the problem.
Kawhi Leonard didn't figure out how to play defense. And we just mentioned Drew Holiday. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
It's just about effort, man.
Well, it is, but here's the problem. You can't just turn that switch on and say, I'm going to D up now. If you haven't D'd up really in the last decade.
I'm with you.
This is why this is a compounding problem that's only going to get worse over time.
But let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, though, Double J. You're right. I don't think you're right. If you ain't been doing it for 10 years, you're not going to turn around and be able to do it in 10 minutes. I get it. But here's the deal. At what point do you say, man, I'm tired of this dude taking my lunch money?
Well, I believe that's the entire world's approach to this right now.
Okay, gotcha.
And that's why they're locking him up. Durant shot 1 of 6 from 3 and fouled out of the game. In a game where we just said that the refs were letting things go in a sense. And you want to talk about I'm tired of this dude taking my lunch money? That's where you get cheap, I'm upset fouls. And that's how you end up when you're behind on the bench.
Yeah. So then let me throw this at you all. Is the roster turnover, because we're trying to find some solutions to why Team USA ain't looking like Team USA from back in the day. And we get it. The competition was paltry in 92 when Mike and all of them did it or whatnot. But that the infamous practice between when Mike and Magic was team captains or whatever it is. That's what I'm talking. That's what's missing right now. You know what I'm saying? You better go get him, Carl. You better go get. You know what I'm saying? Right. No. Is the roster turnover and late arriving players to blame, or is it Pop's coaching style is outdated?
No, of course it's the roster culture. But look, listen, those teams. Nicholas Batum didn't just start playing for France yesterday.
I know.
He's been playing with them people. So they're a real team. The NBA players think they're so good that they just can meet for the weekend a couple of times, meet in Vegas right before the Olympics and go over and beat everybody. Not have any chemistry. Booker and them just flew over yesterday or last week or something like that. Yeah. They just got together for a couple of days and think we just gonna run because they're living off the fabulous history
life
of the real dream team
game. Yeah,
and Kobe and what he went back and is reestablished, and they believe that they're good like that. And these people are saying, "No, you are not."
There's a reason LeBron was a mouse on that team.
I'm trying to tell you, I hate that.
Additionally,
that is the reason he knows he don't want to go over there because you ain't getting no calls over there. You got to play for real. They'll foul you over there. You ain't just going bullying your way into the lane. That's not gonna happen.
Yeah,
but LeBron's whole MO has always been to be this savior. Okay, I'm gonna wait, let you fall. He's that parent that says, "You don't go ahead, go do it and fall, and then call me, then come back, and that's how I'm gonna prove my value to you." No, man, save me, teach me beforehand.
Yeah, before I fall.
Additionally, you got guys like on Australia, like Dante Exum, a top 5 pick that has had injuries up to wazoo, that has something to prove. Every one of them wants your spot. Wants that 28 million a year, Andre Drummond. And so again, this is not going to get any easier, and the fact that you just exposed yourself as being even more vulnerable than the exhibitions made you out to be, to try to blame it on a 5-time NBA winning championship winning coach, a Hall of Fame coach.
That drew my ire big time. I said, what are you watching? Take the blinders off. My gosh. You know, I'm gonna tell you what Team USA need. They need with them 2 guys behind you, Brother Rich, on that nice picture poster you got.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
You know, that's what they need. They need what them guys was. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Man, come on, man. It's about, man, that's what's in that chest cavity. But I'll say this, I'm gonna tell you, at the end of the day, there's a bunch of you just mentioned it, alluded to it somewhat, Brother Rich. A bunch of household names that don't complement each other well. How many times have we said on this program when we're talking about basketball, regardless of the level, you can add a bunch of guys and everybody wants to talk about they got him and they got him. But we've seen the Cavs do it, and I'm just using the Cavs as an example. But if you look at the roster, be like, why the Cavs got 12 shooting guards? You get what I'm saying? I want players who complement each other versus whose name is on the marquee. Give me the guys who complement each other, world, and I promise you, I'm gonna run you and all your favoritism right out the gym. That's exactly what I'm gonna do. Because, like I said, they don't complement each other. The fundamentals or lack thereof, and no Kobe-like mentality is my guess as to why these dudes are all of a sudden in trouble. Period. Yeah. Oh, and then by the way, Double J, this might be right up your alley. The U.S. Here's what's interesting. The U.S. was minus 350 to win gold before its opening game per bet MGM. Imagine that. Isn't that something? Yeah, absolutely not.
Well, they were. I think they locked at 12.5 point favorite too for that game.
Did they?
Yep.
Yeah, unbelievable. All right, let's get to some of our NFL action. I was going to talk about Lamar Jackson today, but you know what? I've been there, done that, so to speak. By the way, I'm glad Lamar is giving back to the community in the ways he sees fit, because some of those young kids, they will not get the chance to see a guy like him. And for the people that think Lamar has a problem, listen, right quick. All of the chatter about, especially what Shannon Sharp said.
Which was ridiculous.
Yes, well, absolutely ridiculous. Why would you mess up your money?
A man who has no pictures of himself doing anything for the community.
None.
Who only gets on television and talks nonsense ad nauseum.
None.
Who doesn't even know most of what he's talking about, is condemning a young black man for going and saving and meeting directly where they are with some young. He don't even understand that they could say, I threw the ball to a professional football player. Does he understand what that means to them in the inner city? When they do it for the white kids in the suburb, they understand. When the NFL sends them to do it on weekends to sign autographs and throw the football to some white mom and some white kid who's a booster who paid money, who got season tickets, but he don't understand doing it for somebody in the hood. This is the nonsense and the hypocrisy that these people are. That's why he gets $1 million working for Fox.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so glad you said it that way, Brother Rich. And look, man.
How could you forget where you came from?
That's what
that's that badly.
Listen, when you
I never want to be that successful. I will say
Facts.
that.
But here's the killer part. We've all had some moments. If you've grown up when you was getting it out the dirt, so to speak. Listen, when I played it with seeing Roy Henson and Charles Oakley, I was like, wow, you get what I'm trying to say? And I was a teenager. So can you imagine playing against the little 9 and 10, 11 and 12, 13-year-old kids, and they see Lamar Jackson? It can make
Look at the footage of Kobe at the Rucker. We show it on this program. Look at
19 years. They
never thought. Kobe comes to the Rucker.
Thank you.
Kobe in his prime puts on sneakers, sits among the fans, and is playing at the Rucker with regular basketball players. He didn't say, "I'm Kobe Bryant. I've already arrived." No, that's what's wrong. That's why the NBA players are losing in the Olympics. That's why.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, you losing money, you this and that. I'm saying to myself,
nonsense.
Man, at the end of the day, man, you make the difference.
And Shannon would rather blame the player for doing that than the league for not ensuring that my contract is guaranteed no matter what happens if I do something like that.
Thank you. But here's my point too. I have yet to hear the Ravens say anything. You know what I'm saying? So if the employer, because I'm pretty sure the Ravens are the ones who are paying him, then aren't they the ones paying him? So if it's an issue, don't you think they would have put out some kind of statement? Because the way the media is
we come from, that's called snitching. Why you putting the man on blast?
Why you? Thank you. Hello. Yes. Yeah. Come on, man. You suck.
So now you're forcing the Ravens' hand to do something to this young man.
Thank you, because they didn't have an issue with it. If they would listen, if the employer ain't saying nothing, what is it to you? What is it to you, man? Shut up, man. Shut up. That's why I don't watch none of that. I don't watch none of them no more. I don't. I just don't watch none of them anymore, man. They're not missing nothing. And it's an insult to my intelligence. Insult to my intelligence it is to watch them guys for however long they're on. And when I'm done watching them, I'll be about as dumb as I was before I started.
I'm serious. I don't even understand what their qualifications are anymore. What qualifications do you have to be on national television?
And you know what? Let me throw this out here right quick too, because I mentioned this to a person who was going back and forth with me about what Shannon said about protect your money and all of this. Let me throw this an interesting quote. Let me see if you all agree or disagree with it. Money and material is only worth what the greed of the world has attached to it.
Facts.
Absolutely.
Do you understand what I'm saying? It ain't always about the bag. And the receiver for the Green Bay Packers, Marcus Valdez or whatever, I loved his response, man. It ain't always about the bag, man.
Fact.
You know what I'm saying? We talking about making a difference in a kid's life. I grew up with some of these kids, man, and they need guidance. Yeah. You understand? And it can make the difference in them picking up a pistol or picking up a pen.
Exactly. If the only time you see a Benz or a Maserati in the hood is because it's a drug dealer versus it being a quarterback, give somebody a different view. Well, let them see something out of a different lens for once.
Thank you, because they don't think
and
they have a chance.
Never go see him, and they could never go see him on Sunday doing his job. They could never in a million years go see him.
Thank you.
But he came
the kid
to
a chance.
them. What's wrong with him going to them?
Yeah. I don't have nothing wrong with it. And I get it. For the sake of this discussion, argument, I had scheduled us to talk about this, but I took it off the table. But here we are. For the sake of this discussion, I get, in theory, for lack of a better word or term, what Shannon is driving at. Your insurance, and so I'm trying to cover both sides.
No. But I'm going to stop you there because that key word is insurance. Lamar Jackson is insured
Okay.
On and off that
Got
field.
you. Okay, got you. There it
throw
is.
that out of the window. This
All
is
right,
in
there it is.
1996.
There it
so
is.
Shannon needs to be more up to date or inapt with what
okay.
he's about to speak on.
Jay, that's like saying this to me. I'm a chef. I cook at a restaurant. Imagine I were a chef. I cooked at this restaurant downtown, imagine. And these people tell me, you can only cook for us. You never we met you cooking. You gave a resume saying you were a chef. But now you're not allowed to cook for yourself. You're not allowed to cook for anybody else but us. They met that young man playing football. He grew up playing football. Now you're telling him that he's only allowed to play football when you say he can. He's not allowed to go with these young black men who need some guidance in their life. And he wasn't playing football. All he did was play catch with them. That's it.
He was just
They weren't gonna hurt him. They weren't trying to knock him out. They weren't. The worst thing that could have happened to him, he could have came down wrong on him, but that could have been repaired.
That could happen.
What he gave those children, that could happen walking down the elevator,
down the street. That's what I'm saying. Or walking down the steps.
It happened to people all the time. Right.
I'm so glad you said that. I can't think of the players' names, but it's been a few cases, more than a few cases, where some baseball player, major league player, was vacuuming the floor and broke his thumb or something like that. You know what I'm saying? He's going to live in a bubble.
In the program, Joel Zamaya was playing Guitar Hero.
Yeah. There we go. Yeah.
Come on.
You're going to do to live in a bubble. You're going to go outside.
I know one of the pitchers for the Yankees was he was cooking and he cut his hand cooking. So in his house, I mean, you could do all of this.
You can do
what
that.
Are you talking about?
Thank you. Yeah, that's what I say too. So lastly, our last item up for bid today is the NFL's memo that they put out in regards to, of unvaccinated players, causing an outbreak and forfeits of games and fines and so on and so forth. Here's the deal. If the game cannot be rescheduled during season due to a COVID outbreak among unvaccinated players, the team with the outbreak will forfeit the game. If the game is canceled due to COVID outbreak, neither team will be paid for that game. Here's my question to you all. Double J, we'll start with you. How do you penalize an outbreak amongst vaccinated players?
Well, that's a very interesting point, and it shows that there is a lot to dissect, and there's layers to the statement itself, because never once was the vaccine immunity. It just meant that you were less likely, and I say less likely because statistically it's been proven you're less likely to experience certain symptoms. But never once, and we've on this same program have had, doctors on the show explain to us how this stuff works. So, to sit there and say, "Yep, go ahead."
Hold that thought. By the way, YouTube pulled that show. By the way.
Oh wow!
I'm sure they did.
Yeah,
I'm sure they did.
No, they sent me a long email. I meant to share it with you all. Yeah, they pulled that show.
Wow.
Yeah, I told my brother. But guess what though? You can try to get away from the truth all you want to, and right. And try as you might, you're gonna fail miserably. But go ahead, Double J.
Yeah, and so ultimately here again, the precedent has already been set that you have to get this, and if you don't, again, because now it's in the best interest of the team, and again, we always talk about, especially when it comes to that particular league,
right,
that it has always been motivated by money, and it has always been profits over people at the most in the most despicable ways.
Players are commodities.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's never been more evident than in that league specifically. So with all of that being said, the moves that are happening in statements like that are very bold and can't be, you can't retract or redact that type of statement.
Mm-hmm.
You said what you said and you meant what you said. And additionally, to now say, to try to answer your question, the fact of the matter is they won't. And the reality of it is that they know that there's going to be someone on a roster that is unvaccinated that they can try to ultimately hold responsible for it.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my problem. When we have variants at this point, and the variants are proving
Oh, you mean like the whooping cough? All of a sudden, the whooping cough needs a vaccine.
Yeah, everybody's got a cold now in July,
right,
like
gotcha.
I did.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah. Anyway, the fact of the matter is, they're going to find a scapegoat on every team, and as you're already seeing, there's been sacrificial lambs. You have players that once upon a time, remember when it came to taking a knee? And they couldn't they couldn't do that because of the check.
Yeah.
Right. They couldn't put their family, they got mouths to feed. But now that you want to give them the jab in the arm, they're having some second thoughts on how bad they want to be there or not.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting dilemma that they're faced with, but it's exposing both sides of the coin very, very heavily.
And you can't turn your head away from it. The truth. That's what I'm trying to say. No matter how many, you can stick your head in the sand and guess what's going to be underneath there? The truth. Brother Rich, could Double J kind of went that direction, but could potential legalities ensue as a result?
Absolutely.
Players saying,
because
okay.
Absolutely. Here's the issue. You're now providing me the opportunity to prove to you I don't perhaps want to take I'm not going to say the thing so they don't take the show down, the word. I don't want to take the jab. Let's call it the jab, right?
Okay.
Maybe I have a reason why I don't want to do that. And here's the other issue.
Maybe a religious reason?
They tell us I may have a whole host of reasons. Religious,
Okay,
I may
gotcha.
have an allergy, I may have, maybe I don't believe in the science, whatever it is. I may have a personal, maybe I don't like needles, whatever it is, right? I have a reason as an individual. We're being told women are fighting for something called my body, my choice, right? People are saying this is my body, this would be my choice. Now, so here's the issue here. We're being told follow the science. Here's the science. The science says that if you get vaccinated, you are less likely to be injured by this particular virus. Now, if I choose to be unvaccinated, and I don't mind taking whatever risk that is adherent to being unvaccinated, why do you care if I get ill? Penalize me. Don't penalize my team and the institution.
That's cowardly.
You are forcing me now. You're making me now a pariah to my teammates, to an institution. You're putting me in a position to choose my employment over whatever particular belief I may be holding on to. What if it's religious? What if I don't want to take it because I'm religious? Are you saying that something is wrong with my religious adherent? Are you saying that something's wrong with if I socially don't believe in the concept of that particular thing? Is something wrong with me as an individual putting me in but we say in society now we don't believe in bullying. You shouldn't bully people. You shouldn't do
all men
shouldn't
created
divide,
equal. All men have the right to do this.
But when it comes to this particular thing, if I don't do this, I'm labeled, I'm given this, I'm given that. Again, now that's a decision you have to make. Every individual has to make that decision, whether to do it or not to do it. Personally, I believe if you're okay, then don't worry about whether I do it or not. If you believe you're going to do it, you go ahead and do it. But don't force me to do something because you believe it's good science.
And that's why I say to force someone to take a vaccine or the jab, is a blatant disregard for the person's right to refuse. It's borderline martial law, so to speak.
Well, it's a very interesting point because it's not borderline. There's a whole host of things that have been overlooked that we're turning the blind eye on.
Borderline.
Okay.
And that's where it's incredibly alarming because, again, this isn't behind the scenes. This isn't public company X. This is we're looking at a multi-billion-dollar machine that is basically we've talked about it before in terms of the commodity aspect of it, and it would not have shocked me in the least bit if the league itself, if the Players Association had said, we're not doing that. We're not okay with it.
The Association is working both sides.
I'm not surprised the Players Association said nothing. We know that they're the most
we know that group.
Compromised Players Association in the history of sports. And here's why we should all be concerned about this, gentlemen. I'm telling you, This is the national platform where they're challenging individuals and are going to label people different labels who choose. Cole Beasley is now the model for what is being called an anti-vaxxer in the NFL. And so we have a concern here because they're going to bring this down to each and every one of your levels, our levels. What happens when they say you cannot work? I know I spoke to family members in New York
already seen
who
that
work in
happen.
hospitals who are being told that this is what's coming. They're going to have to take this or lose their employment. What happens when they say this is what you have to do to work at the post office, or this is what you have to do to work in Hollywood, or this is what you have to do to work in finance or management or marketing, whatever it is that we're doing in our day-to-day lives? What happens when they say this is what you have to do to go to the supermarket? What happens then?
But you know what, Brother Richard, here's what's interesting. Let's go back a ways, right? America became America based on what premise? To get away from Britain because they didn't like what the things that Britain was imposing. They fought for her independence. You know, I know it's not literally, but it's not the same situation. But the concept,
no, it was literally. They fought a damn war.
They fought. Thank you. Okay, so
blood was shed. Yes.
Thank you. Because in other words, you can't make me do what you keep trying to make me do. So I'm it's a reason why did America gain independence? What do you want to be independent from? From tyranny and whatever that is, what do they call it? Dictatorship and all, you know what I'm saying? So the NFL and all these entities, you're doing the same thing that this country that you so fight for and all that kind of stuff that you so, gallantly we raise. So you just talking, you paying lip service to the crap. You see what I'm saying? Because you're going to turn around and do the same shit that you, excuse my French fries, man. It's going to have to be what it is.
And this is part of the problem is that you can't. They've conditioned everyone to believe that if you don't agree with one thing, then you have to go elsewhere. Rather than opening the discussion and trying to get particular changes.
Thank you.
When what's one thing that was very interesting to me that I may have pointed out to you guys. There was a riot that took place in Detroit in not the 1960s, but in the 1940s. And it was, again, during World War II, when you think, again, what we've all been conditioned or told was that the entire country was united. And you had these great stories like Rosie the Riveter, who was right down the street from me. Now, she had to lie to get that role, but she got it, and she became a rallying cry. However, there was a lot of immigration that came up north, and it wasn't always equally as received here. There was some revolts, and ultimately a large fight broke out. A riot broke out here in Detroit that was then also seen overseas, where our troops were stationed in England. There was a battle fought, Americans versus Americans in England, that nobody talks about because it's a stain on the concept that we were fighting against the very thing that was happening in our own country.
Thank you.
That's why people need to wake up in a sense and just realize that, look, it's okay to not be okay with everything. And that then regardless of which level it's at, if it's at the NFL or at a local level, being able to have an alternative opinion does not make you a conspiracy theorist or an anti-anything.
Listen, I tell my kids this all the time. So glad you said that. Society got us thinking that if we ain't doing what everybody else is doing, something is wrong with you. No, it's not.
Conforming or dying is literally.
Hello. Don't put powdered sugar on a pile of dog stuff and try to tell me it's a funnel cake. It's flies on it. Are you serious? And it stinks. I've never known a fly to be on anything. You know what I'm saying? Oh my gosh. Did I say that out loud? Yeah. I'm so sick. I'm sick of all of the, well, you can and this and that, this and that. Don't do that to me. You ain't gonna tell me this and then turn around. I'm smoking. Don't do it. Do as I say, not as I do. What the hell, man? Stop it. No, I'm not trying to hear that. You're dead wrong. NFL, NCAA, MLB, NHL, whoever else, soccer, all of them. You know, Joe down at the rec. all y'all, all you entities, y'all. Hey, but guess what? You about to cave in on yourself. Watch what I tell you. Watch, because your unscrupulousness is about to come to an end. It's already starting now to being exposed for that. And it don't, listen, greed, when you get greedy and things like that, don't work out. It don't work out, baby. I'm here to tell you. Jay is telling you right now. It might take some time. It might not happen when I want it to happen, but it's coming. It's getting ready to happen. Fellas, as always, that was some good stuff. I appreciate y'all. Yeah, I absolutely do. But just, just for good measure. Yeah,
that was for the cow. That button was for the Cowboys. They went to camp, so we already celebrated that.
And this button, of course, is for the Canes going to the Big Ten possibly and getting some get back on them old state Muckeyes. Hey, all right, yeah, that's what we doing here today, baby. Yes, indeed. And on that note, it's been fun, but we got to run. We appreciate y'all for listening. Don't forget to check us out right here on the StreamYard Network. We're working on a few things, administratively. We might have some changes coming for y'all, but that's how it goes. Or you can check us out on Facebook, Twitter, or wherever you listen to your favorite video podcast, as well as the shop's Facebook fan page. And if that don't work, Google it. For my mans, Be Rich, Double J, and all those who follow and support us, we say thank you. I'm Barbershop Jay, and you've been listening to the Shop Report. And remember, the next time y'all want to know what's really going on, man, come to the shop. Walk-ins are always welcome. Holla.